Segment 1. Hook. Watching the puppy a visual. A cute rescue dog lounging peacefully, then suddenly barking at the sound of a doorbell. Imagine this. You're watching your adorable rescue dog, who's usually the sweetest little furball, suddenly freak out when your 3-year-old niece shows up at the gate. Now, your niece is definitely not a threat, but the dog's nervous system? It doesn't know that. See, this dog has a stressful past. Maybe it was abandoned or mistreated. Maybe it's just part of the breed. So now, even in the safe, loving environment of your home, its brain sometimes gets the signals wrong. This is what we call a neuroceptive mismatch, when the brain's threat detection system is out of sync with reality. Now, let's flip the script. What if you, like this dog, have experiences from your past or even your ancestors' past that make your nervous system more hypervigilant than most? It's not a defect. It's a survival strategy. But in today's world, it can feel like your brain is barking at shadows. Let's dive into why that happens and how we can start to train our minds to differentiate between actual threats and those pesky false alarms. Segment 2, you are not a puppy. Uncontrollable forces. All right, you're not a puppy, but let's take a look at what might be making your nervous system hit the panic button. These aren't just things you can control. Nope, these are forces outside your awareness, silently triggering your sympathetic nervous system, making you anxious, stressed, or even fearful. First up, social hierarchy changes. We all have this internal gauge that tells us where we stand in the social pecking order. But what happens when you're not just comparing yourself to your office mates or your friends, but to literally the entire world? Thanks to social media, that's our reality now. When you're scrolling through highlight reels on Instagram, your brain's social barometer often measures you lower than is helpful or even real. It's like being on the bottom rung of a ladder that just keeps getting taller. Next, let's talk about emotional contagion. This one's especially tough on women. We're wired to be empathetic, socially gifted even, but that can also make us vulnerable to the spread of anxiety, like a ripple effect in a pond. Consider the bizarre historical example of the dancing plagues. Back in 1518, in Strasbourg, France, dozens of people, mostly women, began dancing uncontrollably. This wasn't a fun, carefree dance. It was a desperate, frenzied movement that lasted for days, sometimes until people collapsed from exhaustion. So, what does this have to do with today? Well, just like in the dancing plagues, women today are particularly susceptible to what we call anxiety contagion. This is where stress, fear, and anxiety spread through social groups, often without us even realizing it. In our modern world, where emotions can spread instantly through social media, this vulnerability has only intensified. Check this out. Depression among teens has skyrocketed since 2010, right when the smartphone came out. That's no coincidence. The emotional echoes of those historical plagues are still with us. But instead of manifesting as physical dancing, they show up as mental and emotional turmoil. And this is compounded by how women have been socialized. Let's talk about female socialization. Society tells us we can have it all, be the CEO, the matriarch, the superhero mom. But here's the catch. We're also subtly taught that our worth is tied to how well we serve others. Thousands of times a month, from the day we're born, these messages hit us. Even if we don't consciously believe them, they worm their way into our unconscious, shaping our stress responses. It's no wonder that the pressure of trying to juggle all these roles can set off our internal alarms. Segment 3, the freezer alarm. Understanding the nervous system's response. Picture this. Your nervous system is like a freezer alarm. When the temperature starts to rise, the alarm goes off, warning you that something's wrong. But what do we often do? We hit the quiet button just to stop the noise for a bit. Maybe it's a sugary snack, maybe it's scrolling through your phone, or maybe it's something more serious like bulimia. These are all just temporary fixes, like silencing that alarm, but they don't solve the underlying issue. If we want to actually lower the temperature and stop that alarm from going off in the first place, we need to start paying attention to what our body is telling us. And that brings us to the concept of interoception. Segment 4, developing interoception. So what exactly is interoception? It's the ability to perceive the internal state of your body, your digestion, your emotions, all those subtle signals your body is constantly sending you. And here's the kicker. Developing interoception is a fundamental skill in trauma work, and it's just as crucial in high-performance fields. It's all about making the implicit explicit. It is giving words to those sensations and emotions that you might not even have been aware of before. After all, expression is the opposite of depression. Today, we're going to start with a basic exercise. We're not trying to fix anything, just observe. Notice the highs and lows in your body, like a wave. Don't judge them, don't try to change them, just observe. We'll get to the tools for regulating these emotions later. For now, it's all about noticing. In the next video, we introduce you to one of the best techniques for enhancing your interoceptive skills. Remember, though the idea is to build a new skill. It's going to take time, but with practice, you'll get better at distinguishing between real threats and those false alarms your brain has been trained to react to. And trust me, this is the first step to transforming how you navigate stress and anxiety in your life. So, what's the takeaway? Your nervous system is a highly intelligent system, but it can get its signals crossed, especially in today's world. Only after you develop interoception can you start to tune into those signals, understand them, and over time, retrain your brain to respond in healthier, more balanced ways. Let's start with mastering interoception. In the days to come, we will tackle rewiring. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into neuroception and interoception. See you tomorrow.